To order. And do we need to do a roll call first?
We do.
Okay.
Mayor Shapiro is absent. Trustee Benton?
Here.
Trustee Berg?
Here.
Trustee Goldstone?
Here.
Trustee Jacoby?
Here.
Trustee Metz-Childers is absent. Trustee Oppenheim?
Here.
We have a quorum.
I just want to acknowledge that for the record that during the committee of the whole meeting, Trustee Jennifer Goldstone was named, was affirmed as a presiding officer for this meeting as well as the committee of the whole meeting. So that's why she is presiding tonight.
Thank you. So next is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mark Fowler is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, stand up, Mark, and lead us, buddy. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And then we have a report from the Northwest Municipal Conference from Mark Fowler. If you could stand and introduce yourself.
Yes, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. I am Mark Fowler, Executive Director of the Northwest Municipal Conference. We are a membership association of 43 local governments in the northwest suburbs. You have the NWMC at a glance document in front of you, so I appreciate the opportunity to come out and speak to you this evening. We've had a long and fruitful relationship with the Village of Deerfield over the years. Deerfield joined back in 2002, and we've had two conference presidents from the Village of Deerfield. Harriet Rosenthal in 2017-2018 and Dan Shapiro in 2022-2023. As I mentioned, we're a dues-supported organization. Village of Deerfield, with just over 19,000 residents, pays $9,789.96 to be exact. If you look at it another way, we have 6 full-time employees, 1 part-time employee. For under $10,000, you have access to 7 individuals working on your behalf. We haven't raised our membership dues in over a decade, 11 years to be exact. We hope to continue that. Purpose of my presentation tonight, and again, thank you for the opportunity, is to thank you for your membership. Ensure that we're meeting your needs, discuss any local issues of importance, and have the opportunity for you to ask questions of me and about the organization. I mentioned the NWMC at a glance document. Those are the major programs and services offered by the conference. Essentially, those fall into 3 buckets: legislative advocacy, management assistance, and transportation planning. On the second page of that document lists all of our major accomplishments since our founding in 1958. I've had the pleasure of working with Bob Benton ever since I got out of college. and we worked together at Nortran and on the formation of Metro's North Central line. So I've had the pleasure of knowing Bob for a very long time, and it's been to my benefit. I mentioned the success of the organization is dependent upon the participation of our members, and I mentioned former Mayor Rosenthal and current Mayor Shapiro participating in the organization at the highest level as our president. Kent has been an active participant. Dan serves on our executive board, also on our legislative committee. Eric Burke also participates on our legislative committee. I mentioned Bob on our transportation committee, our managers committee. Kent participates on that. That is incredibly important to what we do because we need local information on the major issues we work on in order to advocate on your behalf. So participation in the organization is key. Also participation in our events. We have an annual gala in June. We also have an upcoming holiday celebration December 11th in Niles, and you should be getting invitations for that very, very soon. Participation in some of our programs also offsets the need to rely on membership dues to operate the organization. I mentioned that we haven't raised dues in 11 years. Our enterprise programs that you have listed on the front page, Suburban Purchasing Cooperative is a main revenue source for us. We'll renegotiate contracts. We have over 500 contracts, either exclusively through the conference or through cooperative purchasing programs throughout the United States that you can avail yourselves to. That revenue from those programs helps offset dues. We run auctions 4 times a year through America's Auto Auction in Crestwood. So if you have old vehicles and equipment that you want to dispose of 4 times a year, we have that available for you. And then we have over 2,600 surveys, all member generated. Questions come into our staff. We send the questions out to the membership, get the responses back, get the information that you need to do your jobs better. Some of the big issues we're working on this year in the legislative arena, and you've probably heard Kent and Mayor Shapiro talk about this, the continued push to increase the local government distributive fund, which is your share of the local income tax. We continue to make progress on that issue, raising legislator awareness. So look for that in our legislative program. We also want to ensure that Tier 2 public safety pensions remain intact. There's some discussions about getting rid of those pension systems that we fought for back in 2010, 2011. And then I was just explaining to Bob earlier today, there was a meeting of the councils of government like ours in the region and the heads of RTA, Metra, and PACE to talk about, you may have heard of the Metropolitan Mobility Authority Act, which is a proposal to combine all of the service boards and the RTA into one mega agency. Legislation is needed by the end of May next year. There's a $730 million fiscal cliff once the COVID money runs out for transit operations. So that is a major initiative that we're going to be paying attention to ensure that the suburban voice continues to be represented on RTA, Metra, and PACE. And then finally, back in the timing was atrocious, but in March of 2020, we released our NWMC multimodal transportation plan, and that focusing on bikeways, pedestrian access, things like that. 2 of the regional corridors that run through Deerfield, the Deerfield Road Bikeway is complete through Deerfield, and then the Lake Cook Bikeway we continue to work on and try and piece together projects and funding for that project. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the organization and our initiatives.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that when Mark started, he was the assistant to the general manager of the Nortran operation, the North Suburban Mass Transit operation, which was the predecessor to PACE and that organization. And it was about the same time that I wound up as the trustee from Deerfield to the Mass Transit District. Mark, by his ability, has moved up to the Northwest Municipal Conference and doing a wonderful job and managing them very well. I, by seniority probably, I'm not sure about ability, but I wound up as the chairman of the Nortran operation by the time it was subsumed into PACE, and PACE was then part of the RTA. So we're both veterans. I'm not sure, probably of multi-levels of ability, but I have to commend him on the job that he's done with the conference, because I think it's done very much and continues to.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
And I just want to add, from my perspective, a terrific ongoing opportunity to involve ourselves in neighboring community concerns, neighboring community legislative interests, as well as combining with our neighbors, whether that's going to Springfield and lobbying on behalf of things that we're all concerned about, whether it's Bob's extended tenure as a transportation official. Mark and his team are nothing but professionals. Yes. And from our perspective, we get a huge value out of the $10,000 a year less contribution in terms of access, messaging, surveys, all kinds of things that helps staff present you with positions on issues and things to do. It's a great resource. So, Mark, thank you and your team.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for coming.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next, we have a proclamation for Red Ribbon Week.
Nobody's here to receive that, so you don't need to read it if you don't want to, but you can if you want to. So,
I was not going to read it if we don't have to. Do we need to move? I need a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Is that
Oh,
by
we can do voice.
acclamation?
Oh, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Okay.
It passes.
It passes. Motion passes. Sorry, I forgot that part. Okay, minutes of the previous meeting. We need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Move approval.
And we can do a all in favor.
Oh, voice vote. Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, bills and payroll.
Move approval.
Second.
And this requires a
Voice.
roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Trustee Benton,
Yes.
Trustee Berg,
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone,
Yes?
Trustee Jacoby,
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And now,
Yeah, the general rule is when we're expending funds or taking on liability, we need a roll call vote. For other types of actions, you do not. So that's why, for example, with bills and payroll, we definitely need a roll call vote because we're expending funds. So that's why.
thank you.
And that's what we did.
And now we are at the point in our meeting where we ask if there's anyone in the audience that has public comment on a non-agenda item. There was nobody signed in, but if there's somebody here that would like to speak, now would be the time. Seeing no one, then we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. Do you read this or do I?
I do.
Okay.
That's right. Consideration and action on a Plan Commission recommendation on the request for approval of special use to permit the establishment of a personal fitness training center in Suite 5 in the Deerbrook Commerce Center as 151 South Finkston Road. So this is south of Lake Cook Road, east of Finkston, if you kind of envision that territory. Plan Commission considered this matter and recommended 6-0 to recommend approval.
And the petitioner is here. And if you would introduce yourselves and if you have a presentation.
You know, we brought one, but I don't see a device here to run it off of, but that's okay.
Okay.
That's all right with you all. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Coleman with Quill Advisors. I'd like to introduce Eric Johnson with Movement Revolution. We are here to seek consent for a special use to allow Eric's business to operate at 151 South Finkston. It is a personal specialized fitness use. It's permitted under the zoning code, but always with a special use. So we're going to ham and egg a little bit. Eric's going to talk a little bit about the business. I'll talk just briefly about the application, and then you'll talk some more about the business.
Sure. Well, thank you for having us. Thank you for listening to our application this evening. Just a little bit about Movement Revolution. I started the company 11 years ago. And we started our flagship operation here in the village of Deerfield 9 years ago. So Deerfield has really always been our home. It's been a great location for us to run the business, and I think that we offer a really value-added service for the community here. So just a brief idea of what Movement Revolution is. We provide neurological-based exercise for people affected by neurological conditions such as Parkinson's disease, stroke, spinal cord injury, MS, things of that nature. So when people have completed their rehabilitation course at a hospital system or extended rehab stay, they still have an opportunity to stay active with whatever their condition is. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but we're currently located at the Burdo Center just down the street, but we are looking to relocate to a larger facility that's going to allow our organization to grow. We've been blessed to have growth, unfortunately, the population is more impacted by neurological conditions as years go on. But we have seen some significant growth over the last couple of years, and we really want to expand our space. Right now, we're at the Berto Center, and we just need more space. So we're probably going to be close to doubling in size of our actual training space. We employ 10 staff members there, and I'm really looking to just have an opportunity to grow our in-person initiatives as well as some virtual initiatives as well for the community. The current space that we have at the Berto Center, it's a semi-heavy trafficked area, and I think our clients have a lot of mobility concerns, and that's something that's really important to us. So this new location is going to offer us a very safe entrance to the facility with ample parking and plenty of accessibility for our clientele. So we're looking to go into a space where we have less impact on our clients for accessibility to the space, and we think this 151 South Finkston location is going to be great. So thank you for your consideration of our plan. I'll let John talk a little bit more about that.
The building Eric's business is going into, 151 South Finkston, it's an 85,000 square foot single story multi-tenant flex building. We're occupying Unit V, which previously was occupied by a cannabis dispensary, who's since expanded and done things. So we like this space because there's significant existing conditions that Movement Revolution will be able to utilize and repurpose. So the degree of construction will be limited. We worked with some issues with the village. We worked on parking, and we demonstrated that we won't overpark the building. In fact, our impact to the building from a parking perspective will be significantly less than the previous tenant. They saw as many as 100 visitors a day, and Eric's business will see around 40 visitors a day. Their peak hours are from 10 to 2, although their operational hours are closer to 8:30 to 5. We talked with the other tenants in the building. A lot of those tenants are out in the field at that point in time. So it seems like there's a good synergy with the way the two businesses operate from a peak perspective. We won't really have any impact to the existing property owners. We have public storage to the north. We've got the back of the Home Depot to the east. We've got 94 to the south. And then we've got that auxiliary parking lot for 111 South Finkston immediately to our west. We looked at the parking situation. We determined that after each of the tenants utilizes the parking that's allocated to them, including the parking that's allocated to us, there's still 30 surplus spaces on the site, and this is excluding all the parking that exists on the north side of the building, which is where employees typically park. So, the outcome of that analysis essentially was that we won't have a parking burden. So, they will have no more than 16 people in the space at any one time. Half of their visitors are dropped off because, as Eric mentioned, there is some mobility limitation to some of the folks that come there. In the special use criteria, we talked with the planning department about whether we're compatible, and I think the conclusion was that our use is compatible, that we won't provide any kind of a traffic burden any greater than what's already there, which is rather limited at that part of Finkston. Parking and access, we've got handicap stalls right outside our front door, which is terrific. As I mentioned a second ago, the effect on the neighborhood really seems de minimis, if any at all. The facility itself is terrific. It's 100% air conditioned, full ADA restrooms. They're adding some lighting. We're putting in some flooring. So it'll really be wonderful. And it doesn't seem that this special use, the granting of this application, would have an effect on the zoning classification in general. This board has approved about a half a dozen special uses for this building specifically over the course of even the last just 3 years alone. So in those respects, we feel that we've met the criteria for special use, and we would seek your indulgence in allowing Eric's business to move forward. So I'm going to let him just spend 5 more minutes talking about his favorite subject, which is Movement Revolution.
Well, thanks, and again, thank you for your consideration. But Yeah, I've already kind of given you a layout of what we do at Movement Revolution, but it's primarily all one-on-one exercise programming specific to these conditions. So we transition people right out of a outpatient rehab stay and directly into an ongoing exercise program. So we work very closely with a lot of the existing healthcare systems at Endeavor Health and the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, who have outpatient services in the nearby area, Whitehall, which is right down the street, to help transition people out of those stays and help to keep them moving very well for a long time. We've had clients here in Deerfield that we've serviced for over 10 years, even before we opened up our initial location, that we still continue to see, and it's incredibly rewarding. We see a lot of individuals affected by Parkinson's disease, and our program is one of only 3 accredited exercise programs for people with Parkinson's in the country. So we're looking to hope to expand our outreach virtually with some of those offerings for our PD community, not only here in Deerfield and in the North Shore, but elsewhere as well. So after starting Movement, again, this was our, Deerfield was our first major home. It's our first flagship location. We started over at the old Joy of the Game building way back when in the Athletico space that was there. And we've since expanded. We have locations now in one small facility in Chicago, downtown Chicago, and then Glen Ellen as well. So, but this Deerfield location has always been our flagship site where we really want to let our program shine and kind of be a guide for all of our other locations as we hope to continue to expand. Yeah, just some logistics. I mean, like I said, we staff about 10 full-time staff members at our facility. John mentioned our operating hours are pretty standard business operating hours, so nothing too crazy there. But we really look to just continue to help grow our neurological resources for our community and our senior community here, and really appreciate your time and consideration. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any comments from the trustees?
Yes.
Years ago, my dad was one of the very first patients for Rocksteady Boxing program.
Yes.
And
yes.
he wasn't ambulatory and became ambulatory due to the program. This was before you were around. We had to go to a boxing gym in Glendale. So
okay. I'm familiar with that program.
Love that you guys are in Deerfield.
Thank you.
And expanding.
Thank you.
Great resource.
Thank you.
Nice.
And just a reminder for the board, this is an appointment-based system where it's one-on-one service. So we're dealing in a couple areas where you've got classes of 10 or 20 people coming in and leaving all at once. Parking at Cadwell's Corners is happening, and we're dealing with that. But this is not what these guys do. It's one-on-one. You're not having a group coming in and a group leaving, and it potentially all of a sudden could occupy all the parking spaces. Routes is what I'm talking about. Yep. So this is very different from that.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any public comments on this agenda item? Seeing none, I would seek a motion to approve or deny, I guess, the report and direct the village attorney to prepare the ordinance.
I would so move.
To approve, right, Bob?
Yes.
Second.
And a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Motion passes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to forget you, Mary.
No, there's a delay. It's very weird.
Motion passes. Thank you
Thank
very
you all
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Okay. All right. I need to. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Now we move on to our consent agenda. This is the ordinance authorizing a sign plan amendment for the new wall signs, including a sign exception for the office building at 570 Lake Cook Road. I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda and approve of the ordinance.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Goldstone?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Motion passes.
Yes.
Oh, I did it again.
And it's
Slow learner.
exciting to report that building is 95% plus occupied.
Oh, that's
So that office building on Lake Oak Road where we've talked about office vacancies, these guys are plus 95% occupied.
wow.
It's awesome.
Okay, there's no old business. Now we're on to new business, a resolution to approve emergency tree removal. And Bob Phillips is going to.
Thank you, Presiding Officer Goldstone.
Thank you.
You may recall in August, on August 27th, as a matter of fact, we had a storm event. Not heavy rain, but heavy winds in this event, and a lot of different things happened. Emergency-wise, we had power outages, we had trees down, we had our generator caught on fire, and as a result, to get through this, we had extra services from some of our vendors. One vendor provided labor, and one vendor provided not only labor, but labor and equipment to do tree removal. So we mobilized eight crews during this event for 3-4 days. The teams went out and just did brush cleanup, tree clearing, tree removal, everything under the sun, and really got us back into great shape. There's without the 8 crews, sorry about that. Without the 8 crews, by my estimation, we would still be working on tree removal because it took us less than a week to get this done. So
amazing.
So it worked out really well. Thank you to our tree contractor and to our other vendor, Shredda Enterprises, that helped us to get through this. It was a big endeavor. As most things go, there's a cost of doing business, and the cost to remove trees is significant. And to help us out with this work, Advanced Tree Care has presented us with an invoice of $150,970.
And as the board will note from the agenda item, there's a lot of properties that were impacted by this. Mm-hmm. You saw that list of addresses, multiple trees at some locations, just a significant impact on the community. And just having the resources and having the contract in place, I congratulate the board and staff. A week, 2 weeks after the storm, we'd had it cleared out. So it really impacted a lot of people. So I just thank the team for.
Yeah, in our thank you, Kent, and our
and Mike and his team.
And our so our contractor, Advanced Tree Care, they're contractually obligated to help us. It's written into the contract that they provide emergency services, but we work so closely with them that they want to do that, and they're happy to do that. So we're really lucky to have them as a partner. We're lucky to have Shredda Enterprises as a partner, and it really helps us when the time comes to shave those peaks and to pull us through some of these things. To have a team like that we can pull together and get things done. So with that, I have written up the agenda item. I have included the invoice from Advanced Tree Care, and a resolution is attached. And I would like to request that the village board approve the resolution to perform emergency tree removal as done by Advanced Tree Care following the April or the August 27th event.
Do we have any trustee comments? I have
a question, Jennifer.
Yes.
If I could.
Yes.
Bob, I noticed from your list, I'm assuming most of these trees were on private property. Is that correct?
Some of them were. A lot of branches down on public property, but we did, we did take away private trees, shrubs, things that were stacked up nice and neat. Logs. We did have a log, more than one log loader out there. So if people were doing tree, full-blown tree removal, we did have them stack logs up in the parkway, and we did remove that as well. So we did a lot of tree removal, and yes, public and private.
So
public and private.
Mary, let me make sure I get your question correct. Most of the tree removal, and the tree takedown was on public property, but the limb removal occurred from private property, a lot of the limb removal. So if they stacked their stuff on from a private property tree that was on public property, we took it away.
That's correct.
A tree, we would not take a tree down unless it was on public property.
No, that is true.
I just want to make sure that's clear.
Yes, that's true.
That was my question. That was my question because I know that, we don't want to create difficulties with residents when there's some kind of misunderstanding as to whose responsibility it is to cut a tree down. So I'm glad you clarified that, Kent. That was exactly my question.
That's a great question. Thanks, Mary.
I just wanted to comment that multiple people commented about what a great job you did. And as you know, I seem to get a lot of comments from the residents. I don't know how I've become the trustee that gets all the comments, but more than one person said to me, wow, they did such an outstanding job. So really, kudos to you. Great job.
Thank you, and kudos to the Public Works team. They're the ones who really made it happen, and the superintendent, Dan Busher, who was really in charge of it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was amazing. Okay, then do we have any public comments on this agenda item? Seeing none, I will look for a motion to accept or deny this resolution.
I move to approve the resolution for the emergency tree removal.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Bob, please extend our thanks to your team as well as Mike and the tree folks, guys. Please let them know the board appreciates their efforts.
And now we have the resolution to approve an agreement to install a backup generator for 465 Elm Street, and Tyler's going to do the introduction.
Good evening. As Bob briefly mentioned actually a couple of times now, we did receive approval to buy a new Public Works generator. This is a result of the generator outliving its useful life. It was original to the building in 1989 and also created issues at that last storm in late August. Actually, it overheated, caught the building to catch fire, and those extinguished quickly. It did sustain the damage. We've since had our vendor and generator contractor out to do an assessment of the overall building. They've recommended a few different things, one of which is removing the generator from inside the building to the exterior, which is more of a modern-day standard. Staff is fully in favor of that. It does entail additional work, rerouting the gas lines, the electric service lines from the interior of the building to the exterior, but we do feel that it is worth going down that road. As I said, Lionheart was out to do their analysis. They provided us a proposal for $102,606. The generator has already been purchased at a September board meeting, and now we're looking for approval from this board to move forward with the installation and the cost. Keep in mind that this is part of the common area, so it is part of that 50-50 split with the Park District. So while we are seeking approval for roughly $100,000, half of that will be billed towards the Park District. The attached resolution includes a waiver of competitive bidding due to staff's preference to maintain the same company from procurement through installation. Staff is requesting to adopt the resolution to approve an agreement to install a backup generator at 465 Elm Street from Lionheart Critical Power Specialists in the amount of $102,606. This also includes the removal of the existing generator, which that space is actually needed for new electrical panels. So we'll be fully set in about 4 weeks pending approval.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the trustees? Okay, seeing none, do we have any public comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I would move to accept the motion with the waiver of competitive bidding so that we can follow with the same company.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're items for discussion by the mayor and board of trustees. The Tony Camblick event, I assume that he attended it last
It's
weekend?
okay. David?
I can handle that for you.
Okay.
It was a really wonderful event. The gentleman who led us in the pledge at our last meeting had invited folks to come there.
Yes.
There were representatives from the village, the park district, the school district, the historical society, and just a number of his former students and family that came out to Shepherd Friday right after dismissal. He was interviewed by a group of 6th grade students. with their school district's communications person, and they're putting together a video about that. Mayor proclaimed it Tony Cambich Day in the village of Deerfield and presented him with a nice proclamation. Followed by that, there was a tour of Shepherd, and then he went to dinner with a bunch of the students and attendees at Italian Kitchen. I didn't stay that long, but that was the whole plan, and he turns 90 here in just a few days, and it was a really wonderful event, and his family sent a very nice thank you card to us.
That's so nice. Thank you. Report by the village manager.
Justin's going to give us an update on
Justin?
755 Kipling, which the board has been working on and the staff has been working on for the last year plus.
Yeah, so at the first board meeting in October, the village board approved a contract with SE Inc. to begin demolition at 755 Kipling. That began exactly a week later, last Monday. It took 3 or 4 days to completely remove the structure. They've spent the last couple of days collecting bricks, and they expect to complete the demolition of the pool and the foundation by the end of the week. After that, we'll return the site to, we'll level it, and then we'll seed and blanket it at that point. But again, the entire structure will be out of there by the end of the week, weather depending.
Yeah, I saw that there was work being done there. It's great.
Yeah,
Fast.
we worked in conjunction with District 109, obviously with school buses and everything on Kipling. It's a pretty tight road, so we worked well with them, and we're very pleased with the results.
Great.
Do we have a lien on the property?
We will be filing that.
We will be. We have a lis pendens on the property, and under the unsafe property statute, we have a right to recover our funds, both the demolition costs as well as legal fees. So as soon as we have the total amount of all the costs, we will be perfecting our lien and pursuing collection.
Thank you.
And it's great to get the physical safety issues dealt with. They're done. Really today, I mean, but last week I think they were largely eliminated. We've got to get the foundations for the pool and the house out, but largely the super unsafe pieces of it are done, and they will be done by the end of this week. So that was the key objective.
And the attractive nuisance part.
Yeah, right.
Right. The kids kept wanting to go in.
Yeah, it's, right.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now, what?
The other update on that property is there's another lawsuit going on, a foreclosure action brought by 2 different lenders that are pursuing a foreclosure for default of the loans. So that's proceeding. A motion for summary judgment is pending. So that may be resolved relatively soon, and if it's foreclosed upon, we'll go to auction and the property put back, hopefully, to productive use at some point.
What's our lien position?
First. Yeah, under the unsafe property, we have priority over all lenders.
Oh, so if it goes to foreclosure, we still get paid.
Correct.
That's great. Okay, then I will entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1 and C2.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Berg?
Yes.
Trustee Goldstone?
Yes.
Trustee Jacoby?
Yes.
Trustee Benton?
Yes.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Can we bring Mary in?